All right, guys, we're here to talk about retail media. Really honored to join these folks on the panel here. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. My name's Andy Friedland. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Swiftly. Closer, all right. We build best-in-class retail media tools, apps, and websites, and we also sell retail media on their behalf. So with that, I'll throw it to you, Brandy.
I'm Brandy Johnson. I'm the CEO of the Coupon Bureau, a new industry standard nonprofit in the coupon space that facilitates retailer-agnostic digital manufacturer coupons. I got it now.
Third time's the charm.
You go, girl. You did it right the first time, you show off.
Christine Shriver, I'm Chief Revenue Officer at Skupos. We are a platform that connects small independent convenience store retailers with large brands, providing the ability to see data within those networks as well as run programs and partnering with Swiftly to run loyalty and app promotions throughout those stores as well.
Hi, I'm Paul Gelb, and I oversee all the ad buying and media partnerships at Bayer.
All right. So first question, guys, I want to talk about data. It's critical in retail media, especially first-party data. How do you guys think about it with cookies coming under attack and things like Apple's app tracking transparency having a huge dent in revenue? How does this come into your guys' world? This might be most relevant for Bayer, but then we can come back towards me.
So super excited to be back at South by. Last time I was here 10 years ago, where I was asked a similar question of the imminent loss of cookies impacting identity and what we did. It's now 10 years later. I have 2 kids, a dog, and a house I didn't have, and we're still able to reach people at scale. What we look at it is there isn't a cookie apocalypse. There's not a cookieless future. The future is just less identity and less identity matching, and so there's just huge strides that are being made with what the Trade Desk is doing with ID 2.0, with what LiveRamp is doing. So we think it's an all approach. We're investing in first-party data, we're working with our retail parties and partners in second-party data, and we're still leveraging at scale third-party data.
I might add on there too that, and would be curious for your opinion on it on the CPG side, but I think it's become more critical twofold. Number one is managing your own in-house data set and understanding the interdependencies between that first-party data and other data sets, as well as diversifying your tech stack. So I always will take vendor calls even if I'm not sure if I'm going to buy from that vendor, because you're continually learning and figuring out what is next. And if you look at the Apple policy, I think it was $13 billion in ad sale loss for Facebook, and that trickle down, a lot of brands had things going consistently on there, had consistent CPAs and things that they were used to experiencing. And so as that shifted over, suddenly a dollar spent is a lot less earned as the accuracy went down. And so the CEOs were coming to the marketing teams and saying, what the heck, why are your costs up and your conversions down? And so having it ready to go, having your first, second, third-party data sets in your data management platform, and having a diverse set of vendors that you work with that you can transfer money to is a solid strategy to keep making sure that you can operate at similar cost points.
That's spot on. That's exactly what we're saying too.
Great.
The only other thing that I'll kind of piggyback onto that, I know you probably meant one question per person, and we just are all answering all the questions.
That's perfect.
But the only thing I would say to that is with the new coupon format, every coupon is mandatorily serialized. So regardless of whether we're in cookie apocalypse or not, whatever mechanism that any of your providers are using to identify that shopper, whether it's mobile, whether it's cookies, whether it's DIDs and VCs, it doesn't matter. If you want to attach a coupon to that, you would be able to still know who that shopper is by matching the serialization and then follow them all the way through a purchase.
Coupons need to get smarter. You know, I believe that with you too.
We did it.
So my next one's about the economy, and one of the themes this weekend at Brand Innovators has been we have some macroeconomic trends that aren't looking great. Some banks have been in the news that get a little scary. How do you guys think CPGs can maximize their dollars during this? Like, we're very lucky at Swiftly where we are going to be leaning in on the marketing side, and that was another one of the great talks we heard where you can actually make a lot more noise when there's less clutter. But what do you guys think of this in economy and how we can help our brands?
So in the health space, we actually have yet to see a pullback. People have fully changed behavior, are continuing to invest in wellness overall. There's still supply constraints across the board in health products. So we haven't made that shift yet. I will say that, again, downturns tend to be where the best brands invest in their brand building, invest in capturing the recent growth or surge in that category. So there's been a whole bunch of new entrants in nutritionals and a lot of the categories that we work with. It's a great time to make sure you're staying top of mind, to retain those that are new to your brand, and to capture share in a much bigger pool. But right now, I think we're still in a growth phase in wellness.
That's great. And to add on to, from a marketing lens, there's really twofold I think about, which is, one is the more intuitive, is shifting dollars from pure play branding to acquisition strategies and performance-based programs. So making sure that when you are asked, what are you spending on and what are you getting from a return, you have a very, very clear attribution model to be able to point back to that. And that's probably anyone that's a marketer is very clear on that. I think the second piece that isn't often thought about that we're running into as a higher margin type of market in C-store is focusing dollars in, we're seeing an increase in focus of dollars in C-store because of the margins. And so a dollar spent suddenly becomes $3 earned back versus $1 in a big box grocer. So us too, we're actually seeing some of the benefits of which sounds bad to say in an economic crisis, but we're seeing some of the benefits come through in terms of people thinking about not just their marketing dollar spent, dollar in, but like how does the entire business see that and what are your margin profiles?
Good stuff, guys. Now, next one's on delivery. So delivery was hot for a while, and now in grocery delivery specifically, we've seen a slowdown pretty significantly. What do you guys think is happening with delivery?
Can you repeat that question just a tad louder?
Sure. So specifically to delivery and grocery delivery, why do you think we're seeing a slowdown there?
So what we're seeing is that there's an expansion of the way that people actually purchase today. The retailers have done an amazing job at also doing in-store pickup, and it's a lot better business for them. They don't have to pay for that last mile. There's a reason to invest in that way. We actually have a routine in my family when the kids are really acting up and we need to distract them. We go to Target and we have toys and we pick it up in the parking lot and drive away because we need it right then and there. So I think some of the delivery pullback has come predominantly from the investment in store pickup with the big retailers.
I would say, and again, I know I'm the coupon girl, so I'm just going to always bring it back to promotions, and I'm sorry, but I would say as a shopper, one of the challenges that I had is I couldn't use my coupons whenever I'm buying online in e-com. Now we've started to see some of the loyalty coupons be integrated into those platforms, but with the new coupon standard, even direct-to-consumer coupons would be able to be used in e-com. So whether that's something that Coca-Cola sent you or something that General Mills sent you or that you discovered online, you would be able to use that in the e-com space and help, I think, in this time of inflation, have those same savings, but maybe inside of the e-com with delivery, because I need you to bring it to my house. I don't want to drive to the store. If I was going to do that, I would have went in store and shopped. So that's just me.
And me. No, I think there is. I think online grocery delivery was a huge rush with the COVID lockdown stuff, and people might have overestimated, so it probably inflated, and you saw it go down a bit. I think what's happening now is that a lot of the large, especially the big box grocers, saw the margins and things getting cut from them. Consumers were price sensitive. Coupons are very critical there. And I think retailers are getting smarter and saying, can I do this more efficiently in-house and not eat the cost of a third party doing this? And I wonder if we're in like an awkward middle school period where we're seeing the shift over. Exactly, where I'm like, okay, Walmart's not working with this company anymore, but they're starting to think about how do they do this themselves, and maybe the experience isn't great yet, but I imagine that will continue to shift and see an uptick as well.
One final thing, we work with a lot of mid-tier and independents right now who have been struggling trying to figure this out because it's costly. And right now, their only other option might be an Instacart where they feel like they're losing complete control. I love Instacart, so any Instacarters here. But they feel like sometimes for those mid-tier and independents, they're losing control. So how do we do this? And so we've seen them try to be smarter, different, maybe try to take some of an in-house approach. And I think as we do that, middle America, right, will start to have delivery options. And I think we've been lacking some there too. So that could be part of the issue.
Appreciate it, guys. All right, so retail media is really complex. That's one theme we've picked up on as we've been talking to people, explaining what we do. I love the Lumascape slide, for those who've seen it, where there's 4 pieces of technology that you need to do your job. What have you guys seen when people do have to use one piece of technology for search and another for display, and then maybe another for their ads? Are these layering pieces of technology becoming a lot to manage on your side?
So I came up through the programmatic ecosystem, so complexity in a lot of different technologies, all integrating is normal for me. I think in most industries, unless you're in it, you don't realize how complex it can be. I think the Lumascape is a brilliant piece of marketing because the intent of the Lumascape is for investment bankers to sell in mergers and acquisitions and combinations. So it says that there needs to be a simplification. What I would say is, as marketers, we don't have that luxury of saying, or it's too complicated. Our job is to simplify messaging and understand how to operationalize that. So right now, it's no more complicated than other parts of the digital ecosystem that we normally have this sort of wavering of more complex and then some consolidation and more complex. I think if anything, it's great to see competition, new startup companies in the space, and having them compete for business.
I think that's spot on. In prior lives with running marketing teams, we always had this, you have to have a quarterly campaign. And I'm like, your consumer or your whoever has not heard the message every single day like you have the last quarter. So the more you can just streamline something and make it memorable and keep it in front of the consumer as long as possible and optimize your channels instead of your message, if the message is working, is a huge thing that I think takes a lot of people a lot of time to figure out.
All right, so I want to talk about loyalty. We got some
five.
applause for those who can't see on the video.
Wish I'd recorded it and sent it right to the CMO.
So I want to talk about loyalty. It's core at Swiftly, and our founders have a lot of experience there. But it's one thing when you're Delta or Marriott and you're a huge brand with a straightforward play for why a customer would want to sign up. It's a little more challenging in your average C-store if you're trying to work across the whole portfolio of Bayer products. How do you guys think about loyalty?
I can start if you. Sure. So this is kind of our job too. We have 15,000 small convenience stores, and most of those are independently owned. And a big piece of what we do is running the loyalty programs within those stores. So brands will see the sales data, they'll understand what programs may or may not work, and they'll want to run a program in the store. Some of the top things to advise for especially like long tail fragmented markets is to keep it as simple as possible for the retailer. They are generally not having an IT team, a marketing team, a whole crew to set this up for them. Make it easy to implement and make it, again, consistent. You don't need to change it all the time. And map it to a similar structure that you might do in other channels so that consumers are familiar with it, which dovetails to the next point, which is make it really, really, really frictionless for the consumer, because retailers don't want long lines of people trying to take pictures of receipts and scan things and do things at their store. They want to make this operate really quickly, and the consumer wants immediate benefits in order to actually sign up for that type of program. So I think on the long tail, simplicity is key, and consistency is key.
So brand building, a really strong brand does not need to be a mass brand. So if you start with that and have an actual insight and a reason for that product, if you are showing your customers that you are listening, you have that insight, and you're having that communication, that's where you get loyalty as much as a CRM program. Now, CRM programs are great, and they can definitely strengthen it, but I think from our perspective, it really starts with that breakthrough creative. For example, with Alka-Seltzer, we had a bunch of insights about how people were using it for hangovers. And so we built a product specifically for, by the way, go to your local store and pick up Alka-Seltzer hangover. It was a big thing in LA. A lot of people were very public and sharing on social media about it. We did a bunch of research, and it's a fantastic product. We also did other research that actually that heart events surged during big sports events for that city. I'm a big Knicks fan, and I can relate that it actually does happen. And so we have great insight, great creative messaging, making awareness about it, and something that our mission is to have better health outcomes for people. So when you have that sort of thing all together, that's, I think, where you start with loyalty, at least.
When you return next year, will you be handing out Alka-Seltzer at this show?
Because everybody here needs one right now, don't you?
Noted,
Don't lie.
yes, yes.
This is day 3. Don't lie.
Just one?
So I would say really quickly, as it relates to loyalty, what we've been seeing, because again, as just an industry nonprofit, we talk to all the brands and all the retailers, and we think about loyalty in ways like what you guys do from the loyalty aspect from a retail standpoint. But we see brand loyalty right now and brand loyal programs really starting to grow. Again, I think most of us remember Coke Rewards, but I'm loyal to those brands that will be loyal back to me. And I think some of the tech, like the guys that were just up here talking, some direct to wallet things, we've talked about maybe even having brand apps and things like that where across your entire portfolio, because I guarantee you there's a lot of people in here that don't know all the various products that Bayer makes, right? It shocked me. So how do you get them, for one thing, Alka-Seltzer? And then how do you show me all those other fantastic products that you also make? And I think inside of a brand experience, from a loyalty standpoint, we can kind of think about that again. And we haven't done it in about 10 years.
Love it. All right, Paul, you mentioned trends over the years at Brand Innovators. Anybody remember C2, C3 in the TV days? That was around for a couple of years. Then we moved on to viewability, was a big one. Now it certainly seems like incrementality is something that comes up probably every week, for me at least with my brands. How are you guys thinking about incrementality? What are you seeing in market?
So we've always looked at it as incrementality. We do a ton of modeling ourselves. We want to make sure that what we're doing is doing more than it was before. That investment is paying off. If you don't have more than you had before from what you invested in it, it's not an investment that has moved the needle. So we're always looking at things in terms of incremental, whether that's upper funnel or return on investment. It is how we define everything internally in terms of our metrics. We don't always get that from our partners, but fortunate to have really a robust analytics team and business analytics team and media analytics team that we work with hand in hand. And so we've been able to get pretty good at taking the metrics that we can get and understanding the incrementality of it.
Yeah, and if you have ever had the question, my least favorite question of being a marketer my entire career was when a CEO would say, great job hitting all the metrics for your campaign, but how do you know that they weren't just going to buy that anyway? And you're like, I did everything I was supposed to do. So one way to think about that, and kind of going back to what Andy and my company are doing together, is looking at how do you make offers, one-to-one personalized offers that you ensure are redeemed because of what you surface to them. And so if you look at something like a discount rule or something very unique you did to those programs, and being able to say they purchased it with this structure after they saw my mobile ad, is a very different conversation than they visited my website and converted via chat. So I think just thinking about how you structure that into each of your campaigns and make sure that you really have uniqueness tied to how they're purchasing is a good way to get around that.
Well, I mean, you want me to? Okay. I feel like I'm just coupons. So as far as the coupons go, having mandatory serialization with the new coupon standard, and again, we have a coupon standard now, all the paper coupons that are distributed, certain standard. We're moving to this new thing that allows for digital. It would still be able to be used on paper as well, but that mandatorily serialized structure, I would just say, does that help you guys, you as marketers, be able to say, okay, I can see now which channel that particular shopper came from, and then maybe, for whatever reason, Brandy clips coupons or engages with my ads or engages with my messaging in TikTok. That wouldn't be me, sorry. I would love to say that. Anyway, but she never redeems. But the ones that we send her direct from Bayer, she redeems. So is there a way through that serialization to start honing in on, did they buy because we did this thing, right? I don't know. Yeah. I'm asking.
I fully agree. I think that's...
I want to make sure I wasn't crazy.
You're posing it as a question, but it's a really strong statement, and I fully agree. I think
that's what I meant for it to be. A very strong opinion.
Yeah. No, fully aligned. I don't know if you
I think anything when you get it into digital, there's a lot better opportunity to get better measurement, including incrementality, and that's across the board from CTV now to what we're doing. But you can give someone a promotion who would have bought it anyway, whether it's digital or not. So there are other pieces of that you want to make sure you have a control you're looking at new to brand, and you're trusting the data analysts to make sure that they're actually showing some sort of yes and no, because no matter what, if you search for a brand name, there's going to be people they just wanted to find it faster, they were going to buy it anyway, it might have taken them a few seconds. They may have bought it anyway without that coupon. So I think we're trying to be as robust and as rigorous as possible just to make sure we're doing the right thing for the brand.
I think that's smart. So my last question is around omni-channel. And what trends are you guys seeing? One that I've seen recently is people are using click and collect. And then they'll get some of the regulars, pop into the store, and shop for some impulse purchases. And these blended trips are becoming more of the norm. What are the things are you guys seeing in omni-channel that get you excited?
So we're definitely seeing that product pages online are just a huge part of the shopping process and journey, from product launches to existing products. There's social proof of ratings, tons of content and information there. It really is becoming an extremely impactful part of that journey. So whether or not you're actually making a purchase and transaction there, or just looking it up from the aisle in store, we're seeing that the consumers is using all the touch points now. It may not be in exactly the same way we did it during the height of the pandemic, but there's definitely been a shift and a change in behavior that's still there.
Now I feel like I'm doing all the scooping. I think the other piece we're seeing is back to that, or the first question, which is managing your own data platforms. I think people are trying to fill gaps. There's omni-channel from where you're reaching them, and there's also different channels that you're executing in. And creating a consistent experience across all of those is a very, very wicked puzzle that many marketers have to figure out. And so a lot of it now, I think, is getting additional data sets, starting to manage those, and being able to target above and beyond the traditional, Target or Walmart or grocery experience. They are trying to truly hit all the different channels in addition to in-store versus digital, marrying a lot of those data sets across.
And I would say one of the things, at least because this isn't my world necessarily, I'm adjacent, but one of the things that I've seen that's really cool just as a shopper is all the new ways that you guys are marketing to me in the store as a brand. And that's been really cool, whether that's in-store TV, media, ESO, and then being able to convert me from a shelf. And maybe I was looking at, is there even a competitor for Alka-Seltzer? I don't even know if there.
I don't think so. No,
I don't
not
think,
at all.
is there even another product? But anyway, if I was there and I was looking at something else, being able right there from the shelf say, oh, well, go ahead and try it because you can click this QR code and here's 50 cents off, right? Smaller value impulse, and you just moved me. But seeing how you guys are marketing to me in store, I think has been some of the more robust things that I've seen than necessarily out in the world.
Agree. All right, so we want to open it up for any questions, and I've got one to share at the end.
Any questions from the crew? If you're new, just your name and where you're from before you start.
What's your sign?
Yeah, you can add that. That's really good. Mm-hmm. Favorite barbecue. All right, you can ask yours, Andy. Sure. All right. With volume.
Final one then. All right. I want to talk about waste. So I think in this pullback, you will see people start to shift away from channels that maybe don't have a good ROAS. Where are some areas that you think you might see waste or that doesn't reach the consumer you're trying to reach?
Frequency. Frequency has always been a big thing. I think right now, it's one of the reasons why we believe that identity can't go away. There isn't a 4 broadcast channel media ecosystem anymore. When it was there, everyone was watching one of 4 shows. You didn't have to worry about frequency over channels or within a channel. So that to me is going to be what you're going to be hearing more and more about. And I think there's enough media demand, enough great new products that have come out that there'll be enough advertisers buying enough frequency, but not over frequency, which I don't think helps anybody.
I have nothing on this comment.
Frequency is a good one. Good way to close. Thank you, everybody.
I'm the mic, so I can ask another one. What's the last coupon you've used?
The last coupon that I used, me personally, or any of us,
Yeah.
the last coupon I used was for Zyrtec D.
I didn't know there was A through C even. So
Because I have seasonal allergies because I'm in Texas. And since y'all have been here, you're all experiencing them, aren't you? Little headache, welcome to Texas.
And Claritin is a very good product for.
I'm sorry. No, hold on. Pause.
That's why she had to be sweet by the coupon. She's always a Claritin gal, clearly.
Zyrtec D got me.
Claritin.
I'll go with Mizzen, Maine. I love that company, and I saw they were here actually, and they're based in Austin. So yeah, I bought a couple shirts with the discount code.
That seems interesting. I'm glad I heard that. I mean, as I think about their brand, I wouldn't have imagined a coupon.
They do a lot of discounts for multiple shirts.
Oh, okay. I got it. Fill the whole bag. And then
There you
just
go.
take it.
That's right. You get extra.
All right.
Fanatics. For
Oh yeah. Nice.
Awesome.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Round of applause for
Thank
Stu.
you.